Well, well, well. Good morning to everyone out there in Final Cut TV land. So, it's like, let me see, when is it? It's it's the 19th of July. Now, July is a hot month. August is a hot month. September can be a hot month around here. And let me just check on that. Yep, that's working good. Everything's working good on my end. So, usually this is the dog days they call of summer. The dog days of summer, typically is what they call it. So, pretty much that's what's going on. There's a couple of things. We're going to talk about our friend BretFX has a new plugin. He just released it this week, and it's really, really cool for CapCut style, TikTok style, animated subtitles. We'll go over that in a little bit. We'll play a little bit of his tutorial. And other than that, I had some interesting, interesting something or others about the Creative Summit this year. I'm not going to say, well, I'm just going to say that there's some things that I thought were going to happen, and then I thought they maybe weren't going to happen, and now I'm thinking that they're going to happen again. So we'll go over all that because to us, the Final Cut Pro community, the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit is the biggest Final Cut Pro event in the world. And we certainly wouldn't want to skip that. That would not be a good look to skip it. So we'll see what happens. I have not got any confirmation one way or the other about the Creative Summit yet, but I have had some insight to it. So our first comment this morning is from our friend Alista. Good morning from Jamaica. How you doing there in Jamaica? I know, buddy, of course, over there on the X platform, which I've been broadcasting on for years and years and years, and I have no intentions of not stopping. Good morning from Beauharnois, Quebec, Canada. This is just the beginning of the international community that we have here every Saturday. Last Saturday, we had like 60 or 70 people watching live, which is really, really nice. Right now, we're up to about 30 people watching live. And of course, we already got our thumbs up coming in, which we also like. Any reports on Final Cut Pro 11.1.1? I've been using it pretty much without issue, except the weird thing that I've had happen is that, thank you, and it may be something I'm doing wrong. When I double click a multicam in the timeline, I have a multicam clip in the timeline, it absolutely used to go, it opened up the multicam clip and it would stay in place where I double clicked. Wherever the playhead was, it would stay in place. It doesn't do that anymore. What is that? Now, when I double click on a multicam clip in the timeline, it's never where I expect it to be, where it was in the timeline. When the clip opens up, it's somewhere else. How did that happen? They fixed it, and then they broke it. Something is broken. Unless somebody else can confirm that I'm doing something wrong and it's just me, but I don't think so. I'm pretty well versed on Final Cut Pro, as you all might know. Pretty well versed. As a matter of fact, somewhere around here, I have my, I'll find it at some other point. I have my original badge that I got in New York when I became a Final Cut Pro trainer back in the 2000 teens. I went to New York headquarters, some kind of headquarters. There's our friend Yes, they experienced that also. That's weird that that's the way it used to be. You just randomly open up the multicam clip. But then they fixed it so when you double clicked, it would stay exactly where you were in the timeline. And now it's like, nah, we're not going to, that's too many things, too many features you people don't need. We're going to take that one out. Take it out. No longer available. So anything else? We're going to, like I said, talk about our friend BretFX. Brett Williams, he has his new plugin and he has it on sale. It is on sale for $15, which is really, really cheap for all the work that he's put into it, because I've been working with him back and forth, trying to help him in the beta phase. I met Brett 2 years ago at the Final Cut Pro Creator Summit 2023. Yeah, 2023. The first one we had in person after 2019. So 2019 was in person. That was a big dud. Not as far as FMC was concerned, but as far as Apple presentation, they had nothing to show us in 2019. Zero. There was nothing new whatsoever. It was really disappointing. The summit itself was fine, and I was glad to talk to the team, but they had nothing new to show us in 2019. It's like, wow, nothing? Can't give us a preview? But anyway, then COVID hit, so 2020, 2021, and they did 2020 and 2021 were virtual. Just some more generic online stuff. You couldn't even tell where the team was. Supposed to be in the spaceship campus, but everything was, you couldn't tell. Was it better than nothing? Yeah, it was better than nothing, but it wasn't the same as in person. And then in 2022, they did that. It wasn't a summit. It wasn't a summit. Final Cut Global thing where they went around to different cities. And here's the thing. A summit is a single place and a single time. Okay, if you're calling it the Final Cut Pro Creator Summit or the Global Summit, a summit is one place at one time. So what they did that year was, which easing back into post-COVID, I understand, they went to different cities, New York, LA, maybe Chicago, Detroit, someplace in Florida perhaps, and they would have a little mini event and people would go to those. But I said from the beginning, that's not a summit. That's a little road tour. Well, that didn't work out too well because they canceled the Europe leg of it. So then in 2023, finally, we're back live at the summit. And we were just outside of Cupertino, not quite in Cupertino, at some other place. And that was really, really, really good. Anyway, that's where I met Brett Williams. That's where I met Brett Williams. Last year, we were back at the Juniper, which was exquisite. Last year was very special, the Creative Summit. Many reasons. FMC did a great job, as usual. Final Cut Pro team did the best job that they've ever done at a Creative Summit last year. So in 2023, they announced the scrolling timeline. Finally. 13 and a half years, we get the scrolling timeline. That's all fine. But it was more in a generic office space, classroom kind of setting that we got the presentation, which was absolutely fine. Apple always takes care of us. They give us great food, great things to drink, very cordial. It was in the Apple spaceship campus, which was really good, but the presentation room was just a flat room with chairs and then the little stage or whatever it was up in front, and everybody was from the Pro Apps team were up there. It was really good because we got the scrolling timeline. Okay, I'm in the front row and I'm going like, about time. So anyway, last year, 2024, we were in a theater, a darkened, beautiful theater at the Developer Center. phenomenal, phenomenal. They brought us in there. We took our seats. It's dark, like a movie theater, inclined seating so everybody could see the stage. They let the tension build up. 15 minutes, 20 minutes. We're all in there talking to each other. What's going to happen? What's going to happen? Finally, they came out on stage. I believe Bill Davis was the first one that came out on stage. And they introduced Final Cut Pro 11. But it was this atmosphere was phenomenal. It wasn't a generic room or classroom like 2023, which was appreciated. This was way, way above that. Way, way above that. And they did a whole presentation, all the Pro Apps team. They were like rock stars. Phenomenal. So Pro Apps team, I want the same thing this year. I want to go to the same place, which is a theater in the developer center. And when we get done the theater, the presentation, we walk across the street and enter the Apple Spaceship campus. It was phenomenal. Just the whole experience, you couldn't ask for anything better. And then we were at the Juniper Hotel. And listen, this is expensive. This is expensive stuff. It costs a lot of money. You're at the Juniper Hotel, and the Juniper Hotel had 2 rooms set up for presentations, one large room and then one around through the restaurant, a smaller room. So they were set up for presentations, and they had presentations motion, and they had different people doing Final Cut Pro presentations. Are we allowed to post a picture from the theater? I have some. Yes, send them to me, Luke. Send those pictures to me. Yeah, they don't want necessarily to get photographs of their employees for the most part. That's what they're concerned about. So as long as they're not specifically their employees, if it's just a crowd or something, I think you'd probably be okay. I really hope to get there again this year. I missed this past one, but went to 2023. Oh, very cool. So did I meet you in Tech Mixer in 2023? I don't remember specifically, but 2024 was the best one ever. It really was. I've been to them since 2016. 2016, 17, 18, and 19 in person at the Juniper Hotel. Skipped 2021. I didn't go on the road show because it wasn't something I was interested in. The crowds were like pretty small, 10, 15, 20 people showed up. So that didn't work out, and I'm glad because I like the in-person, one place, one location, one day, one time. Good morning, Matthew. I'm so glad you could make it. We got like 40, 50 people watching live right now. Don't forget, give some of those thumbs up. We got a few thumbs up. We can get some more. It helps the algorithm, whatever the heck they call it. It helps the algorithm, schmalgorithm. I don't do it for the algorithm so much, but I might as well optimize it as I go. We met. I had the S5 II on the gimbal, and you were filming with your S5 Mark IIX. Dark-skinned young wearing the Eat, Sleep, Heat. Excellent. Yeah, I had the S5 Mark IIX. I use that for some filming. Sometimes the classrooms are dark. Even though they look like to the human eye, the iPhone doesn't do that well in darkness. And when it gets any kind of light challenge, it just doesn't. The iPhones don't do that well. I don't expect them to. The sensors are this big. So I bring my Lumix S5 Mark IIX full frame, fast lenses. I have a new lens I'm bringing this year. So some of those classroom settings, I can get better quality video. And I shoot 6K with my it's 6K with my Lumix S5 Mark IIX. Sometimes open gate, sometimes 16:9, but it's like 5.9K. So I can still do some zooming, but this time I have an actual zoom lens. My lens now is an 35 millimeter to 150 millimeter lens, and it's 2.0 to 2.8, I think the aperture is. So between 2 to 2.8, which is really good for a zoom, and it goes from 35 to 150, the zoom range. Because I don't want a wide shot, I don't use that for a wide shot. I need more of a close-up. For a wide shot, I have my DJI Action 5 Pro, and I have my iPhone, which has 4 different cameras. I have that for the wide shot. This is more for a high-quality, semi-zoomed in of the stage. Like I filmed Michael Cioni last year with that. He was on stage for 90 minutes. It was phenomenal. He's a rock star. And I filmed Apple Fitness Plus, which was really, really cool. They have a very, very sophisticated setup, robotic cameras, hundreds of people in the team, and it's all edited in Final Cut Pro. No, that's not a native Lumix. It's a Samyang or the other off-brand. It's a 35 to 150. Now, here's the thing. It is a big lens. I have primes. I have a 24 prime, a 50 prime, an 85 prime for primes, and they're all down like 1.8 apertures. But I really miss the ability to zoom and get that nice zoom range. So I got this new one, Samyang, I think it is. I forget which, but it's an off-brand. But it is an L mount, of course. It is an L mount. So I'm going to sell some of my primes and just keep that. I was lugging around the Sigma 1424 and swore my arms doubled in size after that. Exactly. So I'm not going to use the Lumix S5 Mark IIX for anything but classroom stuff. For some reason, even though it looks okay to the eye, the iPhone is not that good when it's light challenged a little bit. It just turns grainy. So I don't use the iPhone, and the Action 5 Pro is pretty good too. But I'll bring the Lumix S5 Mark IIX and that big lens probably. I'm not positive yet, but probably we'll bring that for some of these special presentations. Now, we can't film Apple, of course, but some of the other presentations, I filmed 3 or 4 last year. A Move with Sam Messman, I filmed that one. And I filmed the Apple Fitness Plus, which was phenomenal. You wouldn't believe all the work that goes into that. And they have robotic cameras, and they have dozens and dozens and dozens of people working on that. It's all done in Final Cut Pro. All done in Final Cut Pro. So I still have that video. I put up a small snippet on my YouTube channel from last year. As we approach the forthcoming summit, whenever that is, hopefully there's a forthcoming summit, whenever that is, I'll put up more of my filming from the last summit. There's no sense really in doing it after the summit's over, just a small snippets. I save the stuff for the next year's summit, and I'll be posting at that point. So one of the things that I've done recently is I've got a new generator for my house. It's a house generator, not one of the ones that are in the ground, but a mobile one. And I went up from, my old generator was 30 amp, and my new one is 30 and 50. So I'm looking for an electrician to install the 50 amp upgrade. And I've got a few posts on Facebook, and they keep popping up. People keep popping up. So let's talk about, let me see, what do we got here? Let's go over here and look at BretFX. Let's do that. His new plugin. And it is combination with, where am I? Here we go, Camlink. I wonder why that didn't, Hold on one second. custom. Here we go. So this is BretFX new plugin, and it's on sale for $15. I'm going to play snippets of his tutorial for it because he does a great job explaining how to use it. So there's no sense in repeating that, but I can highly recommend it. This is in concert with Philip and Greg's. There, let me get their plugin while we're at it. Philip and Greg's plugin, dynamic. No, it's called. I think it's called the same thing. Just look up intelligent assistance, and it's. I always forget the name. It's probably the same as. Let me get over there. MacBook, probably the same as BretFX, dynamic something. I don't know. Animated. I never can remember. Anyway, let's watch a little bit of this. I'm going to skip around. I'm not going to play the whole thing.
Hi guys, and welcome to this overview of BretFX animated subtitles for Final Cut Pro. These are optimally designed.
So here, our friend, I know, buddy, it's called Caption Animator. Caption Animator. So it's Caption Animator from Intelligent Assistant, which is only $20, and BretFX's new plugin, whatever it is called, something animated subtitles. The combination of those two lets you do great things with short CapCut style titles inside of Final Cut. Inside of Final Cut. So let's go back to here. So I'm not going to this. We're going to give you some examples. Like I said, I'm not going to go and play everything.
To be used with Intelligent Assistance's Caption Animator. Caption Animator allows you to take the timing and transcription data of Apple's built-in captions and apply it to a title or titles of your choosing, and populates the timeline with the synchronized transcribed titles.
Once again, I'm not going to do the entire tutorial. It's on BretFX's landing page for this new plugin. I helped him as well. Let me see. Tech Mixer says, Brett and I went back and forth testing this new plugin. He's doing God's work. It's such a good implementation for titles with Caption here. It absolutely is. I've been testing back and forth with him as well, and I made some suggestions. I worked with Philip and Greg when they were doing Caption Animator, absolutely, and made some suggestions. I think initially they said, well, we can't do that. We can't do that. I said, yeah, but it would be great if you could, and they figured out a way to do it. Anyway, so Final Cut Pro 11 has this transcribe to captions. It's extremely rudimentary. Yes, it does. Technically, it does captions, but you can't change anything. You can't make them look good. You can't adjust the length, which is the main thing. You got to be able to adjust the length to keep them small. I don't want captions going all the way across the screen when I'm reading. I don't want that. I want short, concise. So Caption Animator lets you select how many characters you want per line for the captions. And then on top of that, you use BretFX's new plugin, and you can choose that as a template. Can you put it? Yes, I can. Let me put a clip for BretFX. Absolutely. Let me go and where in the heck is that? I have it over on my, you know what? Notes is one of the best. Notes itself, I use it all the time. Now, why? It's really weird. It's not there on my main page. Let me go over here and look. But I store everything in notes, just about. Well, let's just do this. Let's do it live. We will do it live. Close that. Close that. And we'll do this. Here, let me go to the MacBook. We'll do this. BretFX. Here we go. BretFX. Now, latest plugins, animated subtitles. $15. $15. Let me put that, let me copy that and I'll put it in the copy. Anyway, that's just go to BretFX.com. It's right there, but I'll put it in the YouTube channel. Hold on one second. Let me do that. Add a comment. Here we go. And there we go. BretFX.com products animated dash subtitles dash for Final Cut Pro. Just go to BretFX.com and it's right there from the very beginning. So I'm right on the landing page. A workaround for Final Cut Pro captions being inaccurate and bringing up my audio into Mac Whisper, doing the transcriptions, exporting an SNT and putting those captions and then to Caption Animator. Absolutely. But as you can see, that's a lot of work. And I hope that Final Cut Pro, I have no doubt that the Final Cut Pro team is still working on subtitles from audio, whatever the heck that's called, captions from audio, transcribe from audio, make it more accurate, make it so we don't have to do all these workarounds, make it so it goes directly into subtitles. You can still use BretFX's subtitles. As a matter of fact, the subtitles themselves work solo. They work fine. I use them in some of my videos by themselves without transcribing and all that. So, but anyway, we have these subtitles now right in Final Cut Pro, thanks to two of our friends, BretFX and Philip and Greg from Intelligent Assistance. It's really, really cool. Really, really cool. So get BretFX, $15. Come on. What's that? 2 or 3 coffees at Starbucks? $15. It's on sale. And also, Caption Animator is only $20 on the App Store as well. All that Apple has to do is implement one of the open source models for the transcription function. Shouldn't be hard, but I'm also not a developer. Exactly. We all know what the Final Cut Pro team should do, but that's not as easy sometimes. I mean, how many years did I say, scrolling timeline? Well, 13 and a half years later, we finally got the scrolling timeline, which is fine. We finally got it. I knew it was in there. I also know that there's a audio mixer in Final Cut Pro that they haven't turned on yet. It's there. They're working on it. Maybe we'll see it with Final Cut Pro 11.2. We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. All right, we got like 50 people watching live right now. Let's take a look at the backyard. Very, very green out there. Little bit overcast today. Little bit overcast. Speaking of the, here's another. Let's look at this. We have some outdoor cats that we take care of. And what is that? Why is that one there? Hold on a second. Here. This is what I wanted to show you. Let me turn mine off. These are two of our outdoor cats. The one on the left is, we call him Shadow. And the one on the right, his name is Sammy. that took this morning out on our driveway. They are the nicest cats. Now, so they have their own sunroom with a cat door that's heated in the wintertime, and I have a fan in there when it's hot for the summertime. They are completely spoiled. They get fed 2 or 3 times a day. They are completely spoiled. We love our cats. Those are the outdoor boys. We have indoor cats as well. We rescue cats. Someone get Chris Hawking on the case for the audio mixer like he did with the scrolling timeline being hidden for so long. Well, his implementation of the scrolling timeline was not the same way that Final Cut Pro team has it working now. He did a workaround with, I forget what it was, something he did a workaround to make it. No, the audio mixer's there. I know it is. I'm not under NDA, so I can say what I want. Now, it's there, and they just haven't released it yet, so we'll have to wait for that. Maybe 11.2. Maybe Apple AI slowdown to the Final Cut Pro updating schedule of the Pro team. Yes, indeed. So I had doing some research. I posted a picture of, well, let's go over there and find it. Where in the heck did that go now? Oh, you know what? I switched it off. Switched it to the wrong place. Let me go up here and look at history. Hold on 1 second. I will get to you in 1 minute. That is interesting. Oh, let me go over here then. I'll go over to my notes where I keep notes for the show. Here it is. So let's go over here to Future Media Conferences, their page that they have. And this is their page, Future Media Conferences, our events, AI Creative Summit. This is their live page. Post-Production World New York, which is coming up, NAB New York. Final Cut FCP Global Summit. Well, it's not a global summit, really. I mean, it's global in the sense that people come from around the globe, but it's the FCP Creative Summit, what has typically been called. And look what it says, November 2025. So, according to their own website, they're planning on doing the Creative Summit again this year in November, which is a great time to have it, 2025, Cupertino, California. So let's hope that's accurate. Let's hope that's accurate. But that's public, and that is their website. Hey, you know, things can change, as we all know. So we'll have to see. But that is what's there right now. It's live right now. Big respect to you, Richard. Still streaming Final Cut Pro consistently, even when there's nothing to talk about there. You have to make things to talk about. You have to try to well, this week I had BretFX go. That was a big deal. In the past, there's been other things from intelligent assistants and other things. But the thing is, we get the ability to get together on Saturday mornings on the East Coast, talk about post-production, talk about Final Cut Pro, whatever there is, talk about whatever we want. You viewers tune in. So right now we got like 50 people, 60 people watching live. Thank you for the thumbs up. You show up, we do a show. And the difference between this live stream is this is about you. This is for you to come on and comment and get your comments on the screen to talk to the Final Cut Pro team or whatever you want to talk about. Command post, so the scrolling timeline was in Final Cut Pro and he just uncovered it. No, that's not the case. So in a similar fashion, maybe you can uncover the mix. This was based on a conversation he had at the summit. He did not turn on the scrolling timeline. He did something else. He did not turn it on. He turned on some other things with command post that were hidden. I think movable markers, he turned that on. No, the scrolling timeline, when I talked to him at NAB, it's not what it was. Something to do with something else. He made it appear like the timeline was scrolling, and it technically was, but it's not that he didn't turn it on. It was until they put it in, although he did know it was coming before we got to see that in 2023. I was going around to the different lunch tables at the Creative Summit, and I said, what are we going to get today? And he said, we're going to get a scrolling timeline. So he was right. I was shocked, to be honest with you. What reason do you think you'd be holding Apple back from releasing an audio mixer? I understand they did not release a scrolling timeline before they were satisfied with the performance. I presume it's exactly the same thing. Either they're just still working on it, or they're waiting. There's no sense in waiting for no reason, okay? If it's ready, they should release it. Could it be out in 11.2? Wouldn't that be a big ticket item? That would be a big, humongous ticket item for a feature of Final Cut Pro. I'd like to see text-based editing. I'd like to see of course, the audio mixer, the roles-based audio mixer, whatever the heck that is. I'd like to see the ability to add notes in Final Cut, like Logic has, in the inspector. Not the notes column in the browser. That's not the same thing. So you can copy and paste titles and transcripts and stuff. Logic has two notes. They have one per project and one per track. Two different notes you can have in Logic Pro, which is also a Pro app. I'd like to see the ability to expand a compound clip directly in the timeline. Instead of double-clicking on a compound clip and boop, timeline shoots over there and you don't know where in the heck you are in relation to your main timeline. I'd like to see just expand directly in the timeline. I'd like to see better keyframing in Final Cut Pro. Borrow the keyframe editor from Motion. You already have it developed. Just go over there and borrow that one. What is the typical data rate for NAS most people can afford to install in our homes where most of us have built our editing room? I would say minimum 1,000 megabits per second, or maybe 600, 700. My RAID is about, I have a RAID 5 with an 8-drive RAID 5, and that's over, what is that? I forget what that is, but it's over 1,000, maybe 1,500, 2,000. And then my individual SSDs go up 2,000, 3,000. So I would say bare minimum 500, but try to get over 1,000. That's what I would say. Sustained data rate. Sustained data rate. So whenever they announce a Final Cut Pro Creative Summit, their website says November 2025. That's their website. It's a public website. I have not heard a confirmation of that yet, other than their website. I haven't heard any confirmation from anybody. So we'll have to see what happens. But if there is one in November, who's going to go? from this group? Well, one of the things is once they announce it, I usually get a discount coupon code that I'll relay, of course, to everybody, and you'll be able to get it 10%, 15% off, whatever the ticket price was. Now, the ticket price jumped. In 2023, it was $299, and in 2024, it was $699 before the discounts. The Juniper Hotel is expensive. It's very, very expensive. So if you want to go back to the Juniper Hotel, and the other thing was the Juniper Hotel that price included, that did not include the hotel room. Hotel room is extra. It included a catered lunch every single day. So you're at the Juniper Hotel, you're going to sessions, you're talking to people in the lobby. They have a great, great catered lunch by the Juniper Hotel included in that. So it's expensive. Those are expensive ticket items. So I'd rather pay more and have a catered lunch than have to worry about leaving the Juniper and going to find something to eat and waiting in line and then coming back to the Juniper not to miss the session that you want. So there's always two sessions at the same time in two different rooms. You got to pick which one you want to go to. They do not record those, and they don't put them online, and it's not live or anything. So you have to decide which session you want to go to. Maybe you go to half of one and half of the other. That's something else you could do. It would be amazing to be at the Steve Jobs Theater, last Summit Theater pictures in your Facebook DM. Well, let me go over there and look. I'm curious myself. I have a couple. Oh, yeah, look at that. Beautiful. Yes, it was absolutely beautiful. I'm not going to post them on my live stream because I don't want any, look at you guys. Great pictures, Luke and your son. Very, very nice. I'm so glad you got some of these. I have a short segment. I filmed in 2019 in the theater at One Infinite Loop before they told us they don't want anybody filming. When I got in there, I just started filming a little bit, and then they said, "Oh, nobody take any pictures or film, please." It's really because of the employees' privacy. That's what it's about. So this theater is beautiful. It was stunningly beautiful, dark, professional. It's like a mini Apple event. Look at our numbers. We're up to over 60, 70 live viewers right now. I'm going to stay on as long as you're watching. Go ahead and post comments in the chat, and we'll see if we can answer them for you. I spent a whole working month learning as much as I could for each page of Resolve, and I think I'm finally switching. Editing is still king, but progress is too slow. Love your Saturday shows, though. So absolutely, listen, anybody who wants to switch to Resolve, there's no issues for me. I'm not going to try to talk you out of it. Resolve is a phenomenal piece of NLE, the whole package software. In 2023, the Final Cut Pro team singled out Resolve at their Q&A as being a good or great NLE. So the Final Cut Pro team knows all about Resolve and how good it is. They are a little bit different, and I still prefer the quickness, the ability to go into Final Cut and just do something quick. I can edit faster in it, but I've been using Final Cut for over 20 years. DaVinci Resolve, I'm very well versed in. I'm not anywhere close to being an expert. I would say I'm lower mid-level with Resolve. But for example, when I got to do Final Cut Pro Radio, and I have an hour and a half of audio, okay, normally in Logic, I got to load it up and listen to all the audio in real time. I don't have to with DaVinci Resolve. Load it up, go through the transcript. I can read it faster than I can listen to it in real time. Pick out the chunks that I want, put them in a timeline, and then export that XML and open it up in Logic. So I can do a much faster rough cut in DaVinci Resolve using text-based editing, and I don't know why Final Cut Pro doesn't have it yet. That's a big ticket item for me. Text-based editing and a roles-based mixer would be two phenomenal things for Final Cut Pro 11.2 or 11.3, whatever they're going to spring on us, hopefully at the Creative Summit in November, hopefully. What's your thoughts on Mac OS 26? I don't really have any thoughts. Whenever it comes in stable, I'll install it. Until then, I don't know. You tell me. Tell me, Alyssa, what do you think is cool for Mac OS 26? I mean, besides the glass stuff. Final Cut Pro is very fast, even on older Macs. Just formatted my M1 MacBook Pro, and it's flying with Final Cut Pro. Yeah. One of the best things is when you do a new install of an OS, I always install from scratch. So when it's time for Mac OS 26, I will make a volume on my existing SSD in my Mac Mini. I will install Mac OS 26, and I will install every application from scratch, from the App Store, from the developer site. The only thing I'll bring over is my passwords, keywords, and of course I'm linked to iCloud. But I always start from scratch when I do a new Mac OS. So that's going to be the same this year. Whenever September, they're going to have the iPhone event typically. And they might have Mac OS 26 out October, November, one or the other. We'll have to wait and see. There's not much bird activity out there today. It's a little bit hot. What is the temperature? I don't even, let's see. Oh, it's only like 83, something like that. It's been up in the 90s and close to 100. There we go. Got one sale. Just bought BretFX animated subtitles for Final Cut Pro plugin. Thanks, Brett Williams, for your work. Big thumbs up for that. We sell plugins. This is great. And also, if you need Caption Animator from Intelligent Assistants, that's over there for $19. Here's one of the other ones I always recommend. There's no kickback from any of these plugins other than I make it on a beta or something. Backups for Final Cut Pro. I don't know how people depend on Final Cut Pro backups. They are so irregular. You have no idea when it's going to back up. It's like Final Cut Pro says, I'll back it up when I want to. Don't worry about it. I'll back it up when I want to. BS. Hogwash. Give us the ability to back it up when we want to. Backups for Final Cut Pro on the App Store is $20. You choose when you back it up. You choose what to back up. You can do it manually, which is what I do. I do my backups manually using backups for Final Cut Pro, backups for FCP. I've been using it for years. Whenever I see somebody that says, oh, I crashed, my backup's not working, I don't know when it back up last, they're not working. That's the problem with Final Cut Pro backups. Sometimes they work, sometimes they were asleep, but I forgot one, but it's too late. I had a crash and all this nonsense. Backups for FCP. On the App Store, $20. You choose when, you choose where, you choose what. You're not depending on Final Cut Pro's, I'll back up when I feel like it. I work with both depending on the project, but for the quick edits where you don't have much time, yes, I agree with that. I always go to Final Cut Pro first, except long form video, I go to Resolve. Anything like 45 minutes to an hour and a half, I go to Resolve and I do a text-based edit. No comparison. They do a great, phenomenal job. I don't even get involved with their color. I don't even get involved with Fairlight usually. I just use text-based editing in the timeline. And the other thing is when you transcribe audio, you can export a text file, time-stamped text file. So, it's really nice, and it's built in. It doesn't cost. It's in the studio version, not in the free version. $300. Once again, now Grant Petty has already said we're probably going to have to charge for an upgrade at some point in the future. That's the way you do it. You let people know ahead of time. You don't just spring it on them the last minute or right before it's released or next week it's going to be. No. You give 6 months or a year ahead and say, hey, by the way, we're going to be charging for, let's just say Final Cut Pro 12. Let's just say Final Cut Pro 11.5. We need to generate some revenue for the team, so we're going to be charging for it. If you already own Final Cut Pro, it's going to be $99. If you don't own Final Cut Pro, it's going to be the regular price of $299. Completely fine. Nobody's in professional is going to object to that. Now, if you just bought it last year, give it some grace period. If you bought it last year, you get a free upgrade, something like that. Nobody's going to object to that. Subscriptions? No. No way. macOS 26 is that big an upgrade. Be careful. It would always break a few apps or plugins and rollbacks. Not always possible. But here's what you do, Daniel. Don't erase your current working volume with your macOS on it. Create a new blank volume and install the new Mac OS 26 on that. You can always go back to your previous Mac OS. Don't erase your current one. Don't do it. Create a volume, install it on that. You can choose which one you start up from. Hold the Option key when you boot up your Mac, and you can choose which one you want to do. Yes, with DaVinci, you have to have the time, the editing, the sound, Fairlight Fusion, even if we are used to performance and fast in Final Cut Pro. So I really like DaVinci Resolve. There's no doubt in my mind, if for some reason Final Cut wasn't here, I'd be a DaVinci Resolve editor, and I'd dive into it even more. And I'm getting pretty good at the editing. I can do things. I have similar keyboard shortcuts for across Final Cut Pro, Logic, and DaVinci Resolve. I use the same, as much as I can, the same keyboard shortcuts. Now, two things that I love in DaVinci Resolve, lots of things I love. Dual browsers. You can have two different browser windows open, one over top of the other. So you can drag and drop from one to the other. Dual timelines. You have two different timelines over top each other. So you can drag and drop something from this timeline and drag it to the bottom or the bottom to the top. I love that. I wish Final Cut Pro had at least dual timelines. But dual browsers, I found out watching a tutorial, it has dual browsers too. Phenomenal. Phenomenal stuff. Absolutely phenomenal. What do we have here? Is there anything going on out there? Still nothing. That's the garden in the background beyond the bird feeder. By the way, if the summit is in November and you come to the summit, make sure you say hi. Stop and say hi, introduce yourself. We'll get a picture together. We'll take lots of pictures this year, get everybody together and have group pictures, and I'm completely glad to take a picture with you. Absolutely. I like meeting people, especially people that come to this live stream every Saturday. That is always a thrill. This live stream, I do it because I enjoy it, but I also do it because you show up every week, because people are, right now we've got about 65 people watching live. So it's always phenomenal. Always phenomenal. So here's the deal with pictures at the Mac Apple campus. So prior, they've been very strict about it. No pictures, please. Not pictures. You can take pictures of the screen if they're showing a new version of Final Cut Pro in the demo room. Don't take pictures of our employees. Well, they've kind of relaxed that a little bit, and now you're allowed to take pictures, I think, outside the Apple campus. I don't know about inside so much. But the Spaceship Campus, I think you're allowed to take pictures now. So, but anyway, the theater was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. So, Final Cut Pro team, great job. Future Media Conferences the same way. Ben and Elise, everybody over there at the that take care of us at the Creative Summit, it was phenomenal. I'm really looking forward to the next one. Hopefully it's in November. No confirmation yet. Should be happening sometime soon. They also have 2 other events. I thought they did IBC, but I don't see it listed. So I guess they do NAB New York, and they're just doing the IA Creative Summits, Artificial Intelligence Creative Summit right now. Our friend Eric, new book by Walter Murch, award-winning editor, Conversation Cold Mountain. Halfway through it, interesting about the art and science of editing. Absolutely. Thanks for the suggestion. In my opinion, the next update will be after the release of iOS 26. Why iOS 26? Final Cut Pro doesn't run on iOS. You mean Mac OS 26, I presume, right? iOS is for the phone, so you mean Mac OS 26. Well, of course, that would make sense, but they update Final Cut Pro when a new iPhone comes out. They update Final Cut Pro when a Mac OS comes out. They update Final Cut Pro when they want to. I mean, they gave us 11.1 with features in March. But I said, update it before NAB. It helps create a little bit of buzz. Well, they did update it right before NAB in March, 11.1. So we're at 11.1.1, which is the .1.1 is a bug fix. If they do another bug fix, it'll be 11.1.2. They can always add another feature or two. I'm not talking about I don't think they'll do a big feature update until Mac OS 26 comes out, but they certainly can give us 1 or 2 features with the bug fix in either 11.1.2, or if they're going to do features, they might call it 11.1.2. Is that what I'm thinking? Yeah. I don't see them doing 11.2. That's probably usually a bigger update. So I would presume they're going to do 11.2 at the Creative Summit, if indeed it is November. Hopefully it is. Hopefully it is. According to the FMC website, it's listed there. So we'll see how that goes. We should be hearing something shortly. Excuse me. We should be hearing something shortly. What else do I have? There's our cats. Outdoor cats. What else do I have here? I think I just have just BretFX.
The customization process. Okay, so I'm going to go over to the browser here and pull up the same video in 16:9.
So he does a great job going through demoing things. There's no sense in me doing that now. The video is on his website. Just go to the landing page. It's $15. It's on sale. 40% off. $15? Come on. This is a great plugin. Buy it and just tell them you saw it on Final Cut TV, your favorite Saturday morning Final Cut TV show, Final Cut show. And to all of the Final Cut team, the Pro Apps team that watch this video, they watch it every week. Thank you very much for the work that you're doing. Don't go on vacation. Get us some features for Final Cut Pro before November. Give us a couple of features, 2 or 3 features. They 1 year they did with, I think it was 10.4.9, they did the proxy workflow at the end of August, which was a really big thing at that time. I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that coming out in August. Usually August, July, and August are like dead zones. You think that Apple's working on updates that include the new functions at DaVinci, or you think they're looking for other functions? I think they have their own update, feature update. Call it a billboard. This one, this one, this one, this one, this one. And they move them around depending on what happens. If they do it, let's just presume 11.2, which is a big, the next big update. Let's just presume it's at the Creative Summit in November. Let's presume that it's in Cupertino. Okay, what are the big ticket items that they're going to have? Don't know. I'd like to see text-based editing. I'd like to see an audio-based roles mixer. I'd like to see compound clips editing directly in the timeline. The roles mixer is going to be huge because after all these years of dealing with, you got to apply it to a compound clip and you got to double-click the compound clip to go inside and edit. No, that's a bunch of hooey. That's just a clunky way of doing that. Nobody else does it that way. Logic Pro doesn't do it that way. Of course, Logic Pro has tracks versus quote-unquote trackless. I think the Final Cut Pro Apps team, they keep an eye on their competition, but they have their own agenda since Final Cut Pro is so unique with being trackless and stuff. They have their own, let's just say, a bulletin board with things that they want to add. And they might move this one around up here and this one pull it down here. They might do that a little bit to see what works better. Sometimes maybe one thing will affect something else. One thing for sure is they don't want to give us too much all at once because they haven't done that for a long time. Maybe 10.3 or 10.4 was the last time they gave us a laundry list of new features. Those days have disappeared. Now we get 4 features, maybe 6 big features, bug fixes, of course. But so when we got 11, we went from, what did we go from? 8 something to 11, I think. Yeah, Final Cut Pro 10.8 to Final Cut Pro 11 was like 6 months. So now 11 to 11.1 was 5 months from November to March. So they could release 11.2 between now and the Creative Summit with new features and then have a bigger update for us at the Creative Summit. But I think it's more likely that we'll see 11.2 at the Creative Summit, which will be the big update. We might get a smaller update between now and the Creative Summit. There might be another bug fix. They might throw another feature or two in that bug fix. And that could be 11.1.2 or, it could be 11.2 if there's going to be features. It's hard to tell. The naming convention that the Final Cut Pro team, Pro Apps team, and Apple uses anymore, there's no relationship to reality. They just take numbers. Here's a handful of numbers right here. Let's put them over here. Here's a handful of numbers. Let's do this. Oh, we got one. Let's call it this number. That's what it seems like they do. Numbers don't really mean like they used to. Numbers do not mean anything like they used to. So hopefully we'll hear about, so it's end of July. Between now, anytime we could be hearing about the initial information about the Creative Summit. We'll have to see. So what do you think about BretFX's plugin? Go get it. It's $15. Please support him. Support our friend Brett. So we're live on X, of course, and I always post 2 links on X. I post the YouTube link and I post the X link is automatic. That just gets, Ecamm Live sends that out. Why does it take so long to integrate new functions? The engineers are not as good as Blackmagic. You think is more aimed at the pros to be all public? No, I don't think. I think the engineers are fine in Apple. It's a combination of it's the way that Apple does things. It's different than Blackmagic. Blackmagic is like, oh my goodness, they have hardware updates, camera updates. They have all, the DaVinci Resolve updates, constant. Final Cut is more reserved. Let's just say that. I don't think that anything to do with talent. And I think I really like Final Cut Pro 11 and 11.1. I like it a lot. Is it still missing things? Of course it is. Of course it is. But we'll have to see. They're very talented people on both teams. Let's just say that. Let's just say that. Boy, there's no activity out there. The garden is doing fine. We've already had our first tomatoes before July the 4th. And here's a birdie bird. So to answer your question, you tell me what you think. Why does it take so long to integrate new features in Final Cut team? The Final Cut Pro Apps team absolutely hears us about how long it takes to get things. They've talked about it multiple times at the Creative Summit. They know that we feel frustrated sometimes with the pace of development. Absolutely. Absolutely, I feel frustrated sometimes. That's the way it is for the most part. And do I think that's going to change? No, I think that's going to stay the same. Sometimes they may have a flurry of activity and get us a bunch of features that we've requested all at once. Maybe. We'll have to see. But I really like Final Cut Pro 11 and 11.1. Big time. Big time. I don't know. I don't think that's going to change. It's the way they do things. But they hear you. They absolutely hear you about that. They've talked about it more than one time at the Creative Summit. We got over 65 people watching live right now, so that's a nice little audience. I'm going to give you all an applause. Thank you for tuning in. This is, we build this up. We build this up every Saturday. When I'm not going to say if, when there's a next Creative Summit, of course, I will go there and I will report live as much as I can. But I'll report live right from the beginning because I want everybody who can't make it to get as much of the experience as they possibly can. As they possibly can. Let me just take a screen grab here. I want to do this. Yeah, we got every week we have a lot of people working on watching us on the X channel. A lot of times it's more than, close this up, than YouTube. Why a lot of people stay on Premiere Pro while DaVinci and Final Cut Pro are just as good. So the reason I will never go with DaVinci is because of their subscription model. Their horrible ransom. You pay us the rest of your life or we're going to turn it off. You can't use it. When you master Fusion is more efficient than After Effects. That's outside of my scope of things. I don't use Motion, I don't use After Effects, and I don't use Fusion. Just rarely. I use Logic Pro a lot, DaVinci Resolve, and Final Cut Pro. That's all I need. I don't mind learning a little bit about Motion, but I'd rather pay BretFX $15 for his great new plugin. I'd rather pay, Intelligent Assistants or Mark Spencer $15-20 for their new plugins than for me spend time learning Motion. Great turnout for your chat. Thumbs up. Way to go. Absolutely. Absolutely. Give us the old thumbs up. It is fantastic. Fantastic. You know, obviously, I enjoy doing this, but it's also, we get to meet people from around the globe here every Saturday morning. We've been doing it for over 2 years. This is 123, I think, episodes, something like that, 123 episodes every Saturday. And they're getting more popular and more popular and more popular. Now, when we have an update to Final Cut Pro, the numbers go through the roof. Sometimes we have 100 or 200 people watching live. So, but I do this, obviously I enjoy it, but you get to come on and post comments that I post, and the Final Cut Pro team gets to see those. Final Cut Pro team target market is different than Resolve, plus Apple is the horse who selects the target. Yes, they do. Even though we may be 5 million people using Final Cut Pro, we are not what Apple is marketing, they're making their money off of. They therefore will be focusing on their operating systems and other software for most users. Yeah, most users, that's true. They have millions and millions of users, but they haven't, Final Cut Pro is doing fine. And we probably have 5 or maybe 6 million Final Cut Pro seats at this point. So, yeah, Final Cut Pro is a small segment. Apple, of course, is iPhones and Apple Watches and Mac Minis and Apple TV and, iPads. I mean, I've got 2 of the latest iPhones. I got an iPhone 16 Pro Max and an iPhone 15 Pro Max. When the 17 comes out, I'll probably buy it as long as there's an improvement in video quality and stuff. And then I'll trade in my 15 Pro Max, or I'll sell it outright, depending on how much Apple offers me. Apple makes it easy. They send you a shipping box and everything else. So if it's reasonable, I'll just trade it in on my Apple 17 Pro Max in September. I would never go back to Premiere Pro today. It has another alternative. It's just as powerful as expensive. Well, if you're a youngster starting out, I mean somebody from college looking for a career, and they say, which NLE should I learn? I said, learn 2, if not 3. So I would definitely learn, here's the thing. DaVinci Resolve is free. It's probably 80% or 85% complete compared with the studio version. So there's no harm in trying it. It's free. You can get DaVinci Resolve, the free version, free. There's no trick. You get a free version. Final Cut Pro, you can download a 90-day free trial. So right off the bat, I would say do DaVinci Resolve and do Final Cut Pro. That's what I would say. Both of them you can use for 90 days. And a lot of times Final Cut Pro will renew that 90 days when there's a new version that comes out. So learn those 2. Now, if you look at your job market and you see that everybody in your job market uses Premiere, you might have to use Premiere, but I'd still use DaVinci Resolve and I would still use Final Cut Pro. So far, Final Cut Pro, bought it 14 years ago. It averages out to $1.78 a month, if you figure that way. But that's what it does so far. Learn the NLE you need to know for the job you're applying for. Not only for the job you're applying for, but for the job you may want in the future. The job you may want in the future. So first off, learn 2 NLEs. Don't just learn 1. If your job market requires Premiere, you might have to bite the bullet. If you want to work in Hollywood, you might have to learn Avid. But if you do one of those 2, there's no harm in downloading the free version of DaVinci Resolve. Doesn't cost you anything. and no harm in downloading the 90-day free trial of Final Cut Pro. Have them there. That way you have whatever you need for your job and also the future. Because most of the time you're not going to get one job and stay there for 40 years. Usually you're going to get a job and you might get another job, you might get another job and another job somewhere else that might require different pieces of software. If you're young and your mind is just ready to take stuff in and keep it trapped in there, there's no reason you shouldn't learn more than one. Always learn two NLEs at least. I use Final Cut Pro for my main editor and Premiere because one specific client needs their projects in Premiere. If you can justify getting Premiere monthly for your work, either your work pays for it or you got it free at school or your client needs it, you can, that they're actually paying for it, not you by yourself. That's a different story. I'm talking about the solo editor when they're 90 years old and Adobe's going, give me the money, or you can't use Premiere, give me the money, come on, give me the money. That's what I object to. The main difference is working for yourself versus working for somebody else. That's correct. So, but I've always used Final Cut. I used Premiere for the Mac when it was on the Mac back in the early days. Then they dropped support for the Mac, which pissed Steve Jobs off, and Steve Jobs came out with Final Cut Pro. I've been on Final Cut Pro ever since then, but I started on Premiere for the Mac. But whatever you use, just whatever your circumstances are, everybody has different reasons for what NLE they use. I like Final Cut Pro and I like DaVinci Resolve, and on the iPad I like LumaFusion. I haven't got the subscription to Final Cut for iPad. You know why still a lot of TVs use Avid, and I find it outdated compared to the other. So yes, they do. Hollywood has a lock in 2025, although that's probably reached its peak. Avid has a lock on a lot of Hollywood production, both theatrical and things like Apple TV and Netflix and all that stuff. Avid has a lock for a lot of different reasons. Some of it's political in the sense that the unions don't want the editing to be easy. They want it to be difficult. And Avid wins in that category. It's more difficult. At least it was last time I tried it. Maybe it's changed. Avid's good. They're all good. I prefer Final Cut, Blackmagic Resolve, and LumaFusion on the iPad and the iPhone. I can shoot on my iPhone and I can edit LumaFusion videos without exporting video and audio right on my phone. Makes it very, very easy and convenient. They absolutely do. So I got my coffee. Anybody else have some? Anybody else have some? I don't know. All right, let's go back and take another peek outside. What's going on back there? I don't think there's anything going on. Do I have anything else to show you specific? So there's this new, I might as well talk about them a little bit since they've been very kind. EIRTY. Let me see if I can pull them up. Here we go. So there's another new app. Where is the bird? I don't know where the bird is. Usually there's a bird out there, but I don't know. Let's do this. So I've been using, what is the name of that application? Oh, Topaz Video AI for both cleaning up noisy video, upscaling video, because they do both at the same time. And now there's a new player on the block. Now there's a new player on the block that just came out. AIRD, that's what they are. So they have a new video enhancer that looks to be similar to Topaz Video AI. So I have Topaz Video AI. I'm now trying this ARD video enhancer. It looks to be the same kind of thing. It does video denoise, deblur, texture detail, slow motion, audio denoise. You can get a free trial with it. I've been playing with it so far, and it seems to be pretty cool. Pretty darn cool. So you can go to aiarty.com, aiarty.com, download the trial and see if it's comparable. I mean, my experiences so far have been favorable. It's done a pretty good job. So far, I haven't tested it extensively, but let's see what happens. The creators market have changed a lot in the previous way of working, so nobody can tell I have the perfect NLE anymore. No, I don't think that's ever been the case. Rogerio says AR video enhancer was free in a promotion last week. Yeah, I got a copy from them that I'm using. I think it's a year license. There's no rules. I just said, send me a copy. I would like to try it out, and if I like it, I'll talk about it. So far, it's worked very well. I don't want to just denoise my video. I usually want to upscale it at the same time. So I usually go 2 times scale when I denoise a video. It does kick my fans on in my Mac Mini, though. That's one thing to be aware of. It definitely takes some horsepower to use, so we'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes. If they improve that, or that's just the way it is. All right. I think we're going to finish up here. If you have anything else you want to talk about, we got over 60 some people watching live right now. Let me just check on one thing. I'm going to go down there and check on. Let me X out of that. There we go. So let's look at this. Let me see if I can tell there. Yeah. So we got a bunch of people looking and watching. We got a bunch of people watching on X, on Facebook, on YouTube. A lot of people watching on X. I'm always pleasantly surprised that we have so many people watching over there on the X platform. Phenomenal. I've always enjoyed Twitter and X. I've been on there forever. I don't get involved in any of the nonsense. I just like being able to search what I want to search on. Let me just close this up. There we go. And so what, is anybody going to the Creative Summit besides me? Maybe Luke? Anybody else think they might go to the Creative Summit? I know it depends on a lot of things. It depends on when it is. It depends on the cost. The more I learn DaVinci, the more I appreciate Final Cut Pro for its simplicity. Yes, simplicity, but simplicity means different things to different people. Simplicity, yes, but I'd like to have more control in Final Cut Pro. The option, when you run Logic Pro, you have the option of turning on advanced features. Okay, you can turn on advanced features in Final Cut. I mean, in Logic Pro, you have the ability. I like to see that in Final Cut. I like to see the ability to turn on some advanced features. Now, let's talk about Final Cut and some things we'd like to see. Why can't I set a default on a lot of these preferences? And I'll give you a perfect example. For 14 years, every time I make a new timeline, I have to go to that little teeny view menu and set my preferences the way I want it. The size of the video frame and the size of the audio frame and the little slider that does whatever. Every single time, thousands and thousands of times, I've had to go set that every time I create a new timeline project. Why can't I set it and save it as the default? You mean to tell me after all these years and all the programming that they can't say, save this as default? Drives me nuts. Same as the inspector. Why can't I go in there and when I set something, spatial conform? I think it defaults to fit. Most of the time I want it to be none. Why can't I set it at none and it sticks and it doesn't change? So when I bring in my footage in the inspector, in the timeline in the inspector, the default is none rather than fit. Or if I want fit, that's fine. I can select that. So those are the little things I'd like to see fixed. The DaVinci settings are very complex if not done right, and any mistake is very, yes, I know. I know it is. I know, I understand that. I don't get, color, their color profile and a color pipeline and using Fusion and stuff. I think DaVinci Resolve is a great app. I still prefer Final Cut. And I don't see that changing, especially with 11 and 11.1. I do not see that changing. All righty. What do you think? People, if you're watching and you haven't made any comment yet, make a comment so we know you have something to say. Put it in the YouTube or the X comments. It gets over here either way. For anybody that's new to this platform, this viewing experience, Final Cut TV, the Final Cut Pro Apps team watches this. So they see your comments. If you make a comment and I put it up on screen, the Final Cut Pro team sees that comment when they watch it. For me, this kind of software is used for old images. When you know how to film, you don't need it. The functions it offers are included or the plugin in our software. Well, you're talking about the upscaling and the denoising. I have a lot of standard def footage that when I want to use it, I want to upscale it first. So I use it for that a lot. Not for current things that I'm filming unless I'm forced to film in a dark situation. Then I might need a little bit of help reducing the noise. Creative Summit with audio mixer and dual timeline would be fantastic. Boy, that would be phenomenal. That would indeed be fantastic. Would that be 11.2 or 11.3 or Final Cut Pro 12? Who in the heck knows? No idea. No idea. The number system doesn't correlate to the real world anymore. It just does not. So let's see what else we have. Let me see what else before. I'm going to look over here. I can't show you some of these videos because I'd probably get a copyright strike. So I have I'm just looking up stuff. Oh, the DaVinci Resolve Studio was updated to 20.0.1. Would you be happy to pay a one-time fee to get these faster? No, not to get them faster. I would pay I would pay an upgrade fee after a certain amount of time if the update was big. The updates that they've had going from 10.8 to 11, they were medium-sized feature updates going from 11 to 11.1. Three or four features? That's not the kind of update I like to see, I like to pay for. I don't mind. Look, do I want to support the Final Cut Pro team? Absolutely. Absolutely. So if they need more money, just do an update 10.2. Tell us 6 months or a year in advance. Hey, at some point in the future, we're going to be charging for a new large update, but it has to be a big update. It can't be an update with 4 features. And they're charging. I mean, that's just bad visuals if you do that. They know that. I'm not telling them anything they don't know. If they're going to continue the way it is, just a one-time fee and continue updating it and depending on just getting new people, that's fine because the new features will attract new people. How is that new software quality-wise compared to Topaz? I think Topaz is probably a little better, but I'm paying for Topaz. Right now I'm not paying for this, but it does the same kind of thing, and I have not experimented with it extensively. I have not experimented, but I'm glad that Topaz has a competitor. I like competition, just like Final Cut Pro and DaVinci Resolve. They're two different things. They're not really competitors. So people, if you're watching this show and you haven't commented yet, shoot a comment over there. Let me know what you're thinking about. Let me know what you think about Final Cut Pro. Let me know if you like DaVinci Resolve. Let me know if you're going to go to the Creative Summit. If you're going to the Creative Summit, once they announce, don't buy tickets immediately. Wait till I get my discount code, and I'll have a discount code typically for 10% to 15%. And they're not going to sell out in a week. Just wait till you get the discount code from me, and I'll give you a discount code, and you'll save $100 or whatever. Alexander just got here. Hi from Canoas, Brazil. Absolutely. Welcome from Canoas, Brazil. I guess that's right. Canoas? Canoas. Brazil. I bet you, are you warm down there? Because we're warm up here in the good old East Coast of the good old USA. Absolutely. We're doing real well today. We got like 70-some people watching live. There we go, 80 people. Lots of people. It's interesting. Just taking a screen grab. Just take me a second. There we go. So he says, yeah, that city was underwater in floods. Remember that? Yes, I do. But we had Texas. We had horrible floods in Texas. Horrible floods. Forest fire in Canada, big time. Sheesh. All kinds of nonsense going on there with stuff. I remember 2018, 2019, they had the fires in Cupertino when we went there for the Creative Summit. And that was the first time that I heard about N95 masks. They said, if you're sensitive to smoke, bring some N95 masks. This is pre-COVID. So when I worked construction, I was a carpenter. They used to hand out N95 masks because we were working in sawdust all the time. So I had some N95 masks that I brought with me in 2017, 2018, 2019, I brought them. We get Canada smoke in Nebraska. Canada, keep the smoke up there. We don't want it. Keep it up there. Yeah, we've gotten it all the way down here in Maryland one year. We've gotten Canada's smoke all the way down here in Maryland one year, so. If I ever get my studio organized and cleaned up the way I want to, I'll take a tour. I'll take a tour on it. Let you take a tour. I'll take a tour for you one time. It's an upstairs bedroom that I converted into a small studio. I have a bigger studio downstairs, but I'm not using that anymore. I used to use that for recording bands. I don't use that anymore. I don't use that anymore, so. As a novelty, an AI music editor, AI multicam, smart switch, AI detect music beats would be great. The best features of DaVinci. They certainly are good features. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, I will. I gotta organize it. So I have over here to the left, I have 30 hard drives that I have stuff stored on. They're all labeled. They're all cataloged with NeoFinder. Over here, I have another rack of hard drives, 8 terabyte drives, and my LTO tapes that I have. All those, they're back up. Underneath my desk, I have a RAID 5, 56 terabyte RAID 5 that I have to clean up and get rid of some of the stuff on that because it's only got about 12 terabyte free. But yeah, I will do that. I will give you a tour, but I got to organize it first a bit anyway. Let me see if I can do this. Can I do this? I don't know if I can or not. Let me see. I can show you my screens. Right now, we'll wave. I'll show you my 3 screens that I use. Let me get that video up. Next, Mac Mini. Let me see if it comes up here. There it is. We'll show you my screens, what I see. Okay, don't need that. Let's go over here to the movies. Where's the movie? There's the movies. So let's do this. This is what I look at every time when I'm doing a live stream.
Right now,
This is my, I have 3 screens actually, but
I'll show you my
the one
3
big one up
screens
and then
that I
the
use.
small one down. So that's what I look at. My 34-inch LG monitor, and then below me is my MacBook Pro monitor, and over to the one side is another monitor, HDMI monitor that I keep Finder windows and odds and ends on. Do you use NVMe drives and external boxes? How is it possible to get 40 gigabytes? Yes, I have the one I have from OWC, which is very, very fast. It's Thunderbolt 5. Thunderbolt 5, not Thunderbolt 4, not USB 3. Yes. What brand of your Fender guitar? I have 2. This is the one behind me is a Strat. It's an old Strat, 71, I think, 71 Strat. I only have 23 HDs, mostly dual array drives or quad. You beat me. Yes, well, I have 50 or 60 hard drives. I have no idea if this guitar is in tune or not. We'll plug it in. find out. Where's, oh, it's over here. Input, over here. Here we go. I do have to get a new jack. This is my 69 Strat. Now I've had it modified. I think it's in tune. I think it's in tune. Sounds like it is. It's in tune. This is my 69 Strat, and I have it modified. I have Seymour Duncan's quarter pounders. I have the switching different ways. Pretty much in tune, but this is my baby. This is my 69 Strat. All my rock songs that I've created over the years, 90% were written on this guitar. This would be the thing that I would take with me if I had to leave the house in a hurry. This would be what I would take with me. It's been my lifelong friend. Lifelong friend. So that's my one Strat. That's my favorite Strat. This is my other Strat, and I have a couple of other ones. Roz says, thanks, gotta run, absolutely. Fantastic. Yes, absolutely. Let me get your harmonica, sure. Absolutely, bring your harmonica. OWC have a hub, a dock to put under a Mac Mini or Studio. They do have one now? Okay. Because I'm waiting for somebody reliable to release one of these docks. Everybody and their brother is doing docks, but I'm like, I'm okay right now. But anyway, I'm going to be doing a music video of music that I've written. And I'm going to have that out later this year. I'm going to do multiple videos, but I'll have those out. I'm going to combine my music talent with my video editing experience after all these years. That's what I'm going to be doing later this year. So we still have a lot of people watching, like 60-some people watching live. So, like I said, if you're new, put a comment in YouTube that you might want the Final Cut Pro Apps team to read. Miss my old 12 Yamaha acoustic guitar. 12 string, you mean? I've had multiple 12 strings over the. I have a big jumbo hollow acoustic guitar that I have right now that I bought at a pawn shop. That when I used to record stuff, that's what I would use for anything acoustic wise. That's what I would do. So if you don't know, I'm a big fan of, I call it roots rock and roll. Roots, little blues, little country, but that rootsy stuff, the garagey stuff, I really, really like that. And I also like good singer-songwriters. That's the other thing. I like, if you're a good songwriter, good singer-songwriter, I mean, people like Elvis Costello, people like Graham Parker, Marshall Crenshaw, of course, Bob Dylan back in his heyday, the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, the Who, the Doors, Carly Simon, was a great singer-songwriter. Paul Simon and Garfunkel was another phenomenal duo. What to use as monitor? I'm not sure which monitor. Neil Young. Neil Young has written some of my all-time favorite songs, so I love Heart of Gold. That is a great song, and I love After the Gold Rush. Both of those songs are just simply brilliant pieces of work. Steve Vai. I know who Steve Vai is, but I would say, so when I pick up my guitar, and there's 5 to 10 major players that I really like their ability to play and their tone, because tone plays a big part in my appreciation of a guitar player. So my all-time favorite general guitar player, songwriter is by far Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones, okay? He has some of the best tones. He has phenomenal riff. He writes phenomenal riffs for rock songs. So generally speaking, he's my all-time favorite. As a songwriter, tone, the way he uses open tuning chords. But besides Keith, let's put Keith to the side. These are my top 5 favorite lead guitar players. The people that are just good at soloing. I'm going to give you my top 3. Eric Clapton during Cream. He can't be beat. That guy could sit there and solo to one song for an hour, and it's just amazing. I was lucky to see Cream before they broke up at the Baltimore Civic Center when I was a kid. The tone, the execution of his soloing back in the Cream days, phenomenal. Mick Taylor of the Rolling Stones is another one. Love his playing when he was with the Stones. Beautiful, phenomenal soloing. It's just incredible. He could solo. And the third one is Roy Buchanan. If you've never heard of Roy Buchanan, he's the local DC guitar player. Out of this world. Now, I like the players that are more rootsy, more rock and roll, more blues. Can I appreciate somebody like Eddie Van Halen? Absolutely. But he's outside of the realm of what I typically like. So he's a different area, and I can appreciate him. Yes, he's very, very talented. So I would say Eric Clapton is probably my top lead player during the Cream era. Not now, but during the Cream era. I don't know what he sounds like now too much. Mick Taylor from the Stones, Roy Buchanan, if you never heard of him, he's a phenomenal player. He's no longer with us. Down from DC. There's other ones, of course, that I really like, but those 3 come off the top of my head. So to answer your question, like Eric Clapton, absolutely. Steve Morse, I'm not that familiar with his stuff. I know his name, of course. Duane Allman's another one. He's a phenomenal player. Jimi Hendrix, yes, but Jimi Hendrix was more psychedelic blues. I like more rootsy blues. Do I like Hendrix? Of course I do. How can you not like Hendrix? Growing up, when I grew up, I saw Jimi Hendrix at the Jimi Hendrix Experience at the Meriwether Post Pavilion in Columbia, Maryland. Phenomenal. The trio, Noel Redding and Mitch Mitchell and Jimi Hendrix. It was a phenomenal concert. High tension wires, absolutely. Lev John Petrucci, do you know him? It's another kind of music I know, but he's an electric guitar player. I'm not that familiar with him, Petrucci. Tom Petty, as a songwriter, guitar player, is one of my top 10 favorite American rock groups. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Petty is probably one of my top 5. The volume that he put out, and the creativity and the jangliness of his 12 string or his Rickenbacker or whatever he was playing, absolutely phenomenal. I saw Petty a couple times, probably. I saw him at the Merriweather Post as well. I'm not sure if he was opening for Bob Dylan or Bob Dylan was opening for him. I don't remember. I saw Dylan there and I saw Tom Petty there. I saw a lot of bands there. Yes, of course. Duane Allman, of course. Phenomenal. There's so many of them. You got to pick 3 or 4. So I love Clapton. Like I said, Clapton, Mick Taylor of the Stones, when he was with the Stones and all that soloing he did. He had such an incredible blues solo dimension to the Stones music. Stones music usually is more rhythm, Brian Jones type stuff. Mick Taylor added a whole new dimension. First song was Honky Tonk Women, July 69 when it came out. It's Only Rock and Roll, Exile on Main Street, phenomenal stuff. And then he quit the Stones, which was probably one of the biggest mistakes he ever made in his life. I saw him after he quit the Stones at a club in Baltimore called Max's on Broadway. And, I got to talk to him, and it was kind of sad. Did you watch the movie Sinners? I did not. Sorry to ask any metal guitar player, guys. I know the names of the metal, Steve Vai and some other people. I don't know their music that much, and I'm not. Like I said, I like bluesy, rock, rootsy kind of stuff the best, for the most part. But like I said, Eddie Van Halen, sure, I know him. I don't know if he's. Well, wait a minute. I forgot to mention Chuck Berry. He's in my top 5. He is in my top 5. He is a phenomenal rhythm lead player who was doing rock and roll in the 1950s and, of course, in the early 60s. He wasn't really rockabilly, and he wasn't really blues. He brought the two together and did that great Chuck Berry rhythm style. Absolutely. Traveling Wilburys, absolutely, were a great, great band. John Fogerty, I love John Fogerty. Once again, he's one of my favorite American songwriters. You got, of course, Bob Dylan in his heyday. You got people like Paul Simon and Garfunkel as songwriters. You got Tom Petty. You got John Fogerty from Creedence Clearwater Revival. You have even, what's the guy's name that did Rain on the Scarecrow? John Cougar, Mellencamp, another one. That's the kind of rootsy rock and roll songwriting that I like. Those are just songwriters, guitar players that I like. How did we get off on this? This is what we're doing now on this show. We can do whatever we want. We got 60, 70 people watching live. I picked up my guitar, played a little bit because somebody asked about the guitar. This is what we do on the show. We do what we want. We talk about Final Cut Pro as much as there is. Talk about Final Cut Pro as much as we can talk about, but summertime, not much to talk about, so. Any birds out there? Are there any birds out there? I don't see any birds. It's kind of, it's a little bit windy. You can see the trees blowing in the background. You knew that Michael J. Fox really plays Johnny B. Good in Back to the Future. Did he really? I don't remember that. Any cats out there? Well, that's a very nice thing to say. FCP rocks, and you do too. Thank you, Rogerio. Any cats out there? Yes, there are cats out there. Let me go pull them up here. So that's that. Let me go. Here we go. These are the ones that are out there. These are my two of my 3 outdoor community cats. On the left is Shadow, and on the right is Sammy. Sammy Sunshine, because he loves the sunshine. These are our community cats. They're safe in the backyard. They don't go anywhere. And they have multiple places they can run to if they needed to. They have a heated indoor sunroom with just a cat door, and it's heated in the wintertime. It's got a fan in the summertime, and then there's three other outbuildings they can get into that have small doors they can get into if they needed to. Sad for his illness, let me see what we're talking about. Oh, Michael J. Fox, yes. Yes, absolutely. I love Back to the Future. I've seen it multiple times. What's so great about your show? Your open mind plus Final Cut Pro. Thank you very much for that. Enjoying the sun. Absolutely. Absolutely. My cats. All right, we're going to wrap things up for today. We'll try to do, people seem to like the guitar playing, so I'll get some more of that happening in the future. I'll just pick it up and play. It's fine. So let's hopefully, first off, I want to give everybody a round of applause. Thank you every week for showing up. I appreciate it. Hit the subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends about it so we get even a bigger audience here. Like I said, the Final Cut Pro Apps team watches these live streams. They see your comments and they take note. This is another way to talk to the Final Cut Pro team. How's the weather over there? It's summertime. It's 90, is that 90? 80 degrees, and it's very, very humid. Very, very humid. Anything else? I'm going to head out of here. We've been on for 2 hours. 2 hours! 2 hours we've been on live stream. It seems like 5 minutes. But one of these times, well, first off, we're going to have our Australian editor friends back on the show in August. So it's going to be Aussies in August. We're going to have them on the show, but the time is not going to be Saturday mornings because they're weird and they have 14-hour different time zones than us. So we'll probably go in the afternoon, East Coast, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's in the morning there. And we're going to have on Chris Hawking, Ian Anderson, Lee Herbert, and Philip Hodgetts, who's now moved back over to Australia. So we're going to have those 4 guys on in August sometime. Of course, I'll tell you about it ahead of time. It's always a matter of organizing time zones and things, getting things worked out. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks for all the thumbs up. If you're not subscribed already, subscribe. If you have friends that are into Final Cut Pro, let them know about it. We're going to be here every Saturday leading up to the Creative Summit. As soon as I find out about the Creative Summit and get permission to talk about it, we will be back specifically with an episode just for that. But in the meantime, you're the best. You're absolutely the best. Let me go subscribe over there. You know how to do that. And do the, over here at Richard Taylor TV, or YouTube at Richard Taylor TV. That's the channel. And if you want to join the Facebook groups, Final Cut TV Radio over there on Facebook. We have 2,200 members, I think, right now. And we talk about Final Cut Pro. We talk about post-production. We talk about audio. We talk about iPhones sometimes. We talk about video, of course, recording different cameras and stuff. Mostly about Final Cut Pro. All right, we got a few more comments. Take a look at Sinners movie from Ryan Coogler. It reminds me of Crossroads. There you go. Bye, Richard. Have a nice weekend. I want to say thank you to everybody for showing up, each and every one of you. We'll be back again next Saturday. Spread the word. Talk about Final Cut Pro. I'll be back sooner if there's an update to Final Cut Pro during the week, Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday, whenever. I'll come back on and do it. Even if it's just a bug fix, we'll still come back on just to talk about it. Those shows get thousands and thousands of views. These shows that I do on Saturday get 600 to 1,000 views over a period of the week or two after they're up. You're the best. You're absolutely the best. Nobody has a better audience than you. Final Cut Pro TV Live. All right, everyone. I'm going to finish up. Thanks for tuning in.